We're here. We've done it. We've hit 500. All right, YouTube, Curtis from The Pitch Control here, and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 records of all time. So these are records I own. Obviously, there are some other records which I don't own yet, which probably would be in this list, but these are records that I own personally on vinyl. This is a thank you video. I promised I would do this video when I hit 500 subscribers. That time has come. We've done it. We've hit 500. This is the halfway mark to 1,000. So thank you so much for getting me here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go straight in there with the first record. So the first record I'm going to show you guys is Vaccine. This is Human Hatred. Vaccine are a 4-piece power violence straight edge band from Boston. They released this record on Painkiller Records. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. Kind of went under the radar really for a lot of people. This is one of my favorite records of all time. This record is only 4 minutes and 35 seconds long. It just absolutely pummels through with the most raw and dark power violence you'll ever hear. The lyrics are so against humanity and just against anyone that drinks and smokes. Really brutal straight edge lyrics. The best thing about this is if I take the record out, which is just really basic stuff, you open this up, you've got a photo here, which is actually by Mark McCoy from Charles Bronson. On the back here, you've got a massive X. No fucking hope, humans are vile. Human hatred on this side. Really incredible record. It was recorded by Will Killingsworth, who also played in Orchid and Pier and Bucket Full of Teeth. He recorded this album and it is just the most raw and dirty thing. I first heard this record when Dan from Renounce played it to me. He sent me a YouTube video because he knew I was straight edge and he knew I was trying to get into a lot of power violence at the time. This was the first record I ever heard of them. Downloaded it and just listened to it constantly. They have had a demo before this and many other records after it. Human Hatred by Vaccine is just flawless. Next record. This next record couldn't be any more different from Vaccine. This is Sigur Rós, and this is the untitled album. Well, it's actually called Brackets, like 2 brackets, but obviously I can't pronounce that. Really nice artwork. On the back here, it's just got sort of like this little boy here and Sigur Rós written down the bottom. Sigur Rós written here. When you slide them out, you can see it's sort of like cut out here. This is an incredible album and I've listened to it constantly since it came out. I was lucky enough to find this record secondhand, steel sealed, and an original pressing. The first time I ever heard Sigur Rós was from this album and it was Untitled 1, the first track from this album. I listened to it constantly on repeat while I was going to sleep. I just couldn't get past that first track because the video was so incredible with like these kids putting on gas masks and going out to play in some sort of like volcanic ash snow. Absolutely incredible. For anyone that doesn't know Sigur Rós, they're an Icelandic post-rock band which have been active since 1994 and this is their 3rd album release. It was released in 2002. The first 4 tracks are really bleak and really hopeful, and then you've got this 36-second silence and then it goes on to the next 4 songs and those are a little bit more dark and a little bit more hopeless and melancholic. This whole album is really weird. The concept is that the singer just made up this complete gibberish, this language that just doesn't exist. When I first listened to it, I thought that it was Icelandic. I really like the idea of that. It's just got nothing on this album. There's no artwork, no lyrics, nothing. It's just the name and the music. You just don't get lost in anything. You just listen to the music and you take it for what it is. The album opens with sort of like a click of distortion and it also ends with the same click, which I thought was really nice to just open and close it with the same sort of thing. Everyone should go and listen to this. If you haven't listened to it already, I fully recommend it. Really heavy post-rock and also really minimalist post-rock as well. The next record I got for you guys is by Scottish noise pop act The Jesus and Mary Chain. This has become one of my favorite bands of all time and I've pretty much got every single bootleg, every 7-inch, everything they've ever recorded. I want it and I don't care what the artwork is like, how badly it's printed, even if it's a bootleg, I want it. This is my favorite album by them. This is Psycho Candy, formed in 1983 by the Reed brothers. This is Jim and William. Jim is the singer and William plays guitar. Jim does mainly vocals and guitar as well, but he mainly just plays a lot of like noise. As he said in one of his interviews, my guitar is just for kicking.
My guitar is totally out of tune because my guitar is for kicking.
This album was released in 1985, which is kind of weird because I like a lot of music which was recorded before I was born, but to think that this was recorded a few years before I was born is insane. It's just so revolutionary and it's so dark and so evil, but at the same time it definitely keeps that structure of pop going, which is kind of a weird concept. So the Reed brothers took £300 of their dad's redundancy money to go off and record their demo for this record. It consists of Upside Down and Never Understand, which was the demo tracks for this album. On the back here, you've just got a little bit of artwork, sort of like fuzzy and stuff. And on the front, you've got this iconic artwork of the two brothers. On the inside, mine's a little bit beat up. Psycho Candy, pictures, lyrics. And on this side, sort of that traditional Jesus and the Mary Chain artwork with ripped up pictures, black and white, of all the Reed brothers. They're just playing this sort of like Beach Boys bubblegum pop with the most horrible white noise over it. Everyone go and check this out. It will not let you down, and it will probably lead you on to buying everything you ever find of theirs. Next up, we have Pig Destroyer, Prowler in the Yard. For anyone that knows me, they know that this would definitely be in my top 10 list. This has been a record which has been in my life for a very, very long time, and it was the first grindcore record I ever heard. It's so intense, and it's so raw, and it's so good. Pig Destroyer are an American grindcore band, and they formed in 1997 by J.R. Hayes and Scott Hole. J.R. Hayes played for Enemy Soil, Scott Hole played for Agoraphobic Nosebleed and Anal Cunt, which is kind of weird. I know a lot of people already know that, but when you think about it, it's kind of strange. Released in July 24th of 2001 on Relapse Records, this has got to be one of the best grindcore records of all time. The cover is amazing. On the back here, you've got a picture of the three members. On the inside, you've got a huge story written by J.R. Hayes, which was sort of like the concept for this album. It comes on purple. I think it was 1,000, but I can't really find it on the back. Oh yeah, limited edition of 1,000. It starts off with a story of Jennifer, and then it works through with a guy that's very, very obsessed with his girlfriend, and they split up, and then he just goes insane and starts cutting off his limbs and starts going absolutely mental. And at the end, he meets back up with her with a loaded gun, with his fingers cut off for every single day that he's been spending without her, scratching her name into the bullets, and then finally goes to murder her. And then the story cuts off, and then it has another story at the end with like this spoken electronic voice. So it's definitely a concept album, as are some of the other albums, but not as much as a full experience as this one. It's such a journey through this horrible, beautiful landscape of just words that twist and grind your mind. I really love this album. I really recommend it. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 forever. So the next record I got is one of my favorite bands of all time. This is Rotten Hell, and this is their self-titled 7-inch. This is from their demo. It's a repress of their demo, which originally came out on tape. This was released by Rotten Hell, and this is silk screened with Francis Bacon on the front there. And on the back, you've got the Process logo. I don't know if you can see this, but it sort of all folds together. I'm going to open this up because I really want you guys to see what's inside. So when you open this up, it sort of opens up like a little box there. On this side, you've got a little bit of artwork with the Process logos on the skull and Robert D. Grimson on the center there. On this side, sort of like the Vertigo center label. And on this side, you've got Robert again with the Process logo. And when you take it out, it's screen printed on this side, and the record is printed on that side. As you can see, it's numbered here. It's actually limited to 219, and this is number 76. Rotten Hell is sort of like a holy terror metallic hardcore act from the UK. Like I said, the original was on tape, and then they repressed it onto vinyl. This is definitely got to be one of my favorite records for the reason that I've become absolutely obsessed with holy terror and absolutely obsessed with the whole themes behind metallic hardcore that a lot of these holy terror bands tend to incorporate. Seeing this record online just blew my mind that they put so much effort into it as a band to release it themselves. I think I saw it on Tumblr for the first time, where someone posted a picture of all this record together, and I instantly wanted it, and I went online and it was obviously sold out. I managed to find it on Discogs and paid way too much for it. It was definitely worth it. One of my favorite records of all time. I don't know much more I can say about this record. Really, really dark. Obviously amazing packaging. They're still going, and they also play a lot of this neo-folk stuff right now. So this band just couldn't get more perfect for me. The next record we got for you guys is Spaz, Crush, Kill, Destroy, and this record has obviously been in my life just as long as Prowl in the Yard. This is one of those records which my best friend actually played every single day when I went round to his house. He had the original for this record, and I did borrow it for a very, very long time, but I've got the repress. It's sort of a little bit different to the original front cover. On the inside, you've got a little bit of a booklet here, and when I open it up, you've got all the lyrics with Spaz logo in the middle. On the back, you've got some old flyers. And on this side, you've got pictures and flyers as well. Spaz are a power violence band from the US, and they're a three-piece, bass, guitar, and drums. They have two vocals, one which is very, very iconic and tends to be known as like the power violence vocal, very, very deep and very, very comedic in a way. And the other vocal is sort of like a typical scream, I would guess. They're originally from California, and they released this record on the 2nd of January, 1999, which is such a long time ago. And this record is so precise, and they have a lot of these technical parts, but at the same time there's lots and lots of blast. The drum is absolutely incredible, and obviously these vocals going backwards and forwards, all of the samples which are in between are absolutely incredible as well. It definitely takes you on a journey of power violence, which a lot of other bands tend to do now and copy. If anyone has the chance and you haven't checked them out already, go and check out Spaz. The repress comes on this really, really crazy splatter vinyl. I'm not really into crazy colors or whatever, but it is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, I tend to just buy records black or whatever if I can, but repress is pretty cool as well. I'm not too up on colors, but it's all right. Get that back in there. The next record I got to show you guys, it just makes me so happy to have this record. It's not an original, it is a repress, but this is Page 99, Document 8. And for anyone that knows me, they know I don't really listen to a lot of Screamo, not really into Screamo at all, but this record definitely holds a special place in my heart. Page 99 were a 6-piece. They moved on to be an 8-piece, which is crazy. They have an insane amount of members. They're an American Screamo band from Virginia. This record was released on June 13th of 2001, which is also crazy because it's definitely ahead of its time. It's got such an amazing layer of just these double vocals and a crazy amount of guitars. And a lot of people, when they do tend to do Screamo now, definitely look to this album and consider it to be like one of the best. On the back here, you've got all the song titles. On the front, you've got this very, very iconic artwork with the pig in the middle, the two guys, and the roses. Something really cool about this album is that it comes with a booklet. There's some artwork on the back here, which I quote all the time. Every single page is themed for the song, and it's sort of like handwritten with these decaying faces. On the center, you've got all of the members, which says, "Love your friends, die laughing," which I quote all the time when I'm writing on something with my mates or I take a picture. I'm going to link this below so everyone can read this because it's pretty hard to read right here. But this letter is incredible, and it just absolutely puts the band in its place and lets you know where they're coming from. The record actually comes on white. It's not an original, like I said. The original has a little bit more of a colourful front cover. Page 99 did reform, and they did do a few shows, and they actually did play this record because obviously it's the one that everyone sort of looks towards. Document 8 is a very, very high respected album, even for people that don't like Screamo like me. Next up, we've got a little bit of a curveball, and I'm not sure if anyone's expecting this unless you do know me and you know that I love this band, and you know that this band got me into music. This is a band that introduced me to metal and introduced me to hardcore and introduced me to a lot of screams and a lot of alternative things that I'd never seen before in my life. I really wanted to put this in my top 10 of all time for a good reason. Without this band, I don't think I would ever be listening to anything that I've got on this wall behind me. I would not be friends with a lot of people I'm friends with, and I wouldn't be where I am now. So the band I'm talking about is Slipknot, and this is such a horrible record. As I've said in many videos before, I really, really hate picture discs, but I just had to buy this when I saw it. It has recently been re-released on a green vinyl, and it comes with like a huge book and stuff, but I'm not too interested in it. I kind of like that I own the picture disc version, even though it's really, really battered. On the front, you've got a cover of the album, which is just the 9 members. On the back, you've got, I think it was actually on Kill, Feed, Repeat, which is sort of their first album, I guess. Really, really weird front cover. It's a gatefold with pictures of the members in here, and on the back, you've got another sort of cutout bit where you can pull the record out. On the second disc, you've got Slipknot and the famous Slipknot S. On this side, you've got all of the members, sort of like that classic Slipknot photos going on there. This is the original guitarist's mask right here, sort of like a gimp mask, but he said in an interview he can't wear it because it was like gathering up sweat and he would nearly drown when he was wearing it. I'm sure that everyone that's watching this video knows who Slipknot are. They are from Iowa, they're a new metal band, and they play sort of like that really traditional new metal, I guess, but they are a little bit harder than some other acts. They actually got to #1 in the UK with their second album, Iowa, which is insane. And this record was actually one of the first records to go platinum on Roadrunner Records. The record was released on June 29th of 1999, and they sort of went in there with this really raw and analog sound. This is one of the records that I remember in an interview they were talking about. They were recorded analog, and it definitely does have that sound. It has a really sort of dull sound to the drums, and you can definitely hear that it's analog, which I really, really like as well, because a lot of bands definitely tend to go that more of digital route when they're recording heavy albums. But when you listen to this, you can definitely tell that it's a little bit older. Like I said before, this album is very well known, and for anyone that doesn't know this album, I'm sure you know some of the songs on it. This has got Wait and Bleed, Spit It Out, and also Sick as well. Sick with brackets in the middle like that. But for anyone that does know me, they know that I got obsessed with Slipknot and I just bought all of their VHSs. I bought every single Kerrang magazine that had them in, and I just had to have everything. I had like a long sleeve of all the S's down the side, and I grew my hair long. So this is just like the record that got me into music. So the next record, this is record number 9, and this is Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath. For me, Black Sabbath are like one of those bands which are insanely important. Definitely a band that I go back to and realize that they've inspired pretty much every single band that I listen to, whether it's faster or slower. They just are sped up or slowed down versions of Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath are a really traditional rock / doom band from Birmingham, England, and they formed in 1968, which is so weird to think that they were around when bands were around that just weren't doing anything remotely heavy, and these guys just came in with this super heavy sound, really slow, really doomy and really dark. It was released on the 13th of February 1970, which is also incredible. This is just such a heavy album to be out at that time. Really iconic artwork with the traditional sort of doom logos, which we'll see in every single sludge or doom band. They will use this style of logo now. The original was actually a gatefold, and when you open it up, it's got an upside down cross in silver, and it's sort of like black on the inside. Something that a lot of people probably don't know about this record is it was recorded in one day, and it was recorded live. So Ozzy was put into a booth and he went off and sung this live, and the rest of the band played it as well at exactly the same time. Apart from some solos on NIB and obviously the Thunder and Lightning, everything on this album was recorded live. So a really successful album. It got to number 8 on the UK album charts when it was released, which is an incredible feat for a band that sound like this. And it does go to prove that vinyl sales was huge back in the day. This band is a real band that came up from the bottom and had no money, and they just went in there, recorded this live album, and just changed the world of music. Obviously you know it, and if you don't, you should know it. So the last record, this is probably my favorite record of all time, and it's definitely up there with a lot of albums which I don't own on vinyl. This record I was looking for a very long time, and I wanted to buy it, but I wanted to buy it on color, and I was being really snobby about it, and I didn't want to buy it unless it was the original. I looked online, looked on Discogs, looked on eBay, looked all over the place, and I couldn't find it in good condition. For my birthday, I came home and my wife had bought it for me. This is Integrity, Humanity is the Devil. For anyone that knows me, they know that I am absolutely obsessed with Integrity. Such a beautiful mix of hardcore, metallic hardcore, dark noise. This is my favorite record by them, and possibly one of my favorite records of all time. On the back here, you've got a really iconic picture of the band here playing a live show. All of the song titles, the Integrity skulls in between every single one there with this traditional sort of Integrity font here. On the front, you've got the really iconic artwork as well. I'm going to take this out and be really careful with this because this is in really good condition. Like I said, I didn't want to get it unless it was the original. I managed to get it on red. On the center here, you just got the Victory Records logo right here and the Integrity logo with some of the song titles. And on the back, if I take this out, I can show you, it's got a lamb and a goat fused together with the Process logo behind it, which is obviously lyrics from one of the Integrity songs. And it's got some etching on the inside of here as well. It's got love on this side. On this side, it's got in death shall you know ... exclamation mark. Also a little bit of an insert here from the band. You've got members up the top here and the band logo, and obviously the Integrity skull with all the lyrics. Some of my favorite songs from this album include Abraxas Annihilation, Hollow, and obviously In Contrast of Sin. I don't really like a lot of that sort of typical hardcore sound, even though I do own a lot of hardcore records. This band just have a lot more stuff that I want to listen to. They have a lot more solos. Everything's a little bit more DIY and a little bit more dark, and you have some of these like whispering echo vocals, and you have those really traditional Dwid vocals as well, these sort of like shouts and chants, and it just covers everything I want to be listening to. This is a little book which comes inside the record. It says Humanity is the Devil right there with a logo on the middle. On the back, you've got the lamb and the goat with the lyric which I was on about. So that was all my records I had to show you guys. That was my top 10 records of all time that I own. I'm thinking about doing a video of my top 10 records that I don't own. Maybe that would be pretty interesting. I mean, I haven't really thought about it, but there are many records that I'd love to buy that I just haven't got, which I really love. So maybe my next video will be my top 10 records of all time, which I don't own. What do you guys think about that? Comment below and let me know, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
What do you know about the Jesus and Mary chain?
Well, the next big thing, the flavour of the month.
Member of the month.
Yeah,
They're damn noisy.
All the press say so.
What's so good about them?
Well,
They're noisy.